Boy, the new data really is starting to hone in on the idea of some severe weather across the Northeast for Sunday, with the potential for some tornadoes in places where we normally don't see tornadoes. We're talking about New England, also into parts of New York as far south as New Jersey and Pennsylvania as we head into Sunday. So we've got a lot to get through. I'll go fast, I promise. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Travis Roberts. I'm a former TV chief meteorologist, so I hope you'll subscribe to the channel and come back. Let's go quick. I told you I would. So let's start with what we're dealing with on Saturday. We've got these storms here from the Great Lakes back into parts of Kansas and Missouri. The highest threat for severe weather still, it looks like it's going to be from Iowa over into Illinois, Wisconsin, and eventually into Michigan as we head into the evening hours. We could even see some strong storms here into parts of southern New England, Connecticut, even to Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Some of these could get a little strong heading through the evening hours. The highest tornado risk right here, though, southern Wisconsin into Iowa, even into parts of Illinois. And look, it's not a zero threat. It may not be off the charts, but you got to watch the storms as we head through the day into the evening, into parts of Michigan, and then back into Iowa, parts of Missouri, too. The main threat would be damaging winds, and that extends here also into the Northeast. Now, Sunday, things get pretty intense. This is something that I think needs watched. Here in the parts of New England, really, I would say from here north. And just because I'm not outlining these areas doesn't mean we're going to see severe weather. It's just that there's a lot of dynamics here in New England. I've been looking at some of the wind fields. Pretty impressive. A lot of wind shear, change of wind direction with height. And I think that's one of the reasons you're seeing this enhanced area here across parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, arguably parts of western Massachusetts. And I think even into Maine, some of these storms could get a little strong too. But into Maine, speaking of that, check this out. We've got a bit of a tornado risk all the way up here into southern Maine. Some of that's pretty high, too, here into southern Maine. Back into New Hampshire, though, Vermont, into eastern New York, up and down the Hudson. And just because we don't see these higher threat levels here back across western New York from Watertown all the way back to Buffalo and even over towards Erie, PA, down into eastern Ohio, look, it may not be as high, but there's still a potential risk on the table for a few tornadoes even in these areas. And as far south, I think, as possibly Maryland and as far southeast as New York City, maybe even Long Island. So it's something to keep an eye on. This may get refined. New data comes out from the Storm Prediction Center overnight, and new model data will come in. So it'll be something to look at, especially tomorrow morning. So I hope you'll come back. Let's quickly go through what we're looking at now. This would be Saturday evening. These are big storms going through Iowa through the evening hours and then blowing into Chicago sometime tonight. I think some of it will start to fall apart once we get past midnight, but look how some of the models are trying to keep these storms going strong through parts of Illinois and Indiana, eventually dying off overnight. Again, tomorrow, a lot of wind shear going on here into the Northeast. Significant tornado parameter getting pretty high here. Also, this is something that I've really been digging into. You've got this mid-level jet streak. It's a wind field here in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, kind of coming in from the west-southwest. So sort of like this, right? Well, at the lower levels, you shift your wind field, and it's coming in more like this. So you've definitely got a low-level jet. Remember, your upper-level jet coming in like this. So that change of wind direction with height is what's going to want to make those storms rotate and spin as they form during the peak heating hours. So 3, 4, 5 o'clock into the evening hours, that looks to be the biggest risk, at least. And that could potentially roll into the evening hours, maybe even into the early overnight hours for some areas. Here we go through Saturday. These storms here could be strong again into parts of New York, Pennsylvania, down into New Jersey, even across Florida and Georgia. We're dealing with what's left of our tropical low kind of spinning here. Now, as we move into the overnight, it'll still continue to rain here in some of these areas. We could really use some rain, though, in some areas of the Piedmont of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, part of the Appalachians. Not everybody has seen rain in these areas, and it's been weeks in some places since we've seen rain. We might see some with this next round of storms. Let's time the severe weather out. As we move into the afternoon, that's when you're going to get the most heating here into the Northeast. And then I think that's when your best potential would be for those thunderstorms. So say 2, 3, 4 o'clock. You got to watch these that start to fire also across southern New England and then back here into Vermont and New Hampshire. It'll be interesting to see, does this first wave of showers that move through, do they zap the atmosphere enough that we see things maybe not as intense? I don't know that we do, but once we move, say 6, 7, 8 o'clock, things start to really push to the east, and then we're just looking at some showers left over as we head into Monday, with maybe a few thunderstorms down across the Carolinas here into the southeast. So a pretty wild setup as we're seeing this ridge start to break down too. It's not really breaking down. If anything, it is still shifting west here. A decent heat dome here. There comes our system through the Northeast. That will be our shot of cooler air giving us some relief to the heat. Some relief, I say, because it's not going to stick around very long. Another wave tries to move through, say, Wednesday and Thursday. That may bring us another chance of some rain showers and maybe even some thunderstorms. But the heat will be on again on Sunday across the deep south. Now we're pushing 100 from places like Macon over to Birmingham, even into Mississippi. If you think Sunday's hot, it's going to get even hotter. The heat does start to back off across the Northeast. Look at the 90s. They get pushed south now. So now we're looking at 80s across southern New England. Over to Pennsylvania, we may be in the 70s, but look at the heat building. Triple-digit heat now across Arkansas, Missouri, and even down into the deep south. Another hot day here. Another hot day across Texas and Oklahoma for Sunday, and that heat continues on Monday. If anything, it builds. So there's your highs on Mondays. Triple-digit heat pushing as far north potentially as Nebraska, close to southern parts of Iowa with 90s now to South Dakota, almost into the Twin Cities. That heat continues to stick around as we head into Tuesday, even into Wednesday. Now we're looking at Texas. The triple-digit heat is on. Summer is feeling like summer now across Oklahoma and Kansas, and it looks like it's going to stay hot for a while, and it's still hot across the desert Southwest, even in the Central Valley of California. That's not changing. But again, severe weather expected on Sunday. I think the big threat, this is the tornado risk here across the Northeast. New data will be out. I will have an update early on Sunday for you guys as we look at this, time it out. So if you've not subscribed, I hope you will come back. See you next time. Have a great rest of your Saturday, or if it's Sunday, wherever you are, early Sunday. I'll see you next time right here.